Hello everyone, welcome to the Lubbock Testing Open House. I am the Lubbock Site Coordinator, Ida Castillo. In this presentation, I'll share with you some important information you need to know about testing. If you're in the zone during our virtual open house, please feel free to reach out to one of our staff members to ask any questions. My name is Ida Castillo. I am the Lubbock Testing Site Coordinator, and Miss Tasha Wright is our co-coordinator. You can reach us at those emails and phone numbers at any time with your questions. So a quick word about why we need to come to testing. All of our K-12 online schools are considered public schools. So your student is a public school student. And the state of Texas requires that all public school students attend and participate in state testing. So even though your student does school at home, it is not considered homeschooling. There is no opt-out of state testing. Your participation in our testing is very important to us. Our testing participation affects our school's accountability rating and therefore affects our ability to stay open and serve your family. So we really need your participation in our testing, and we are going to do everything we can to help you get to testing and to make sure that it is an enjoyable experience. Our upcoming testing dates, if your student is an emergent bilingual student and they will be taking TELPAS, then we will be testing in March, the first week of March. And most of our other tests, our STAR and our end of course tests, are going to happen in April. So that's our big testing month for sure. If your student is either third grade all the way up through high school, they should have a testing date in April. So keep a lookout for an email that tells you what date your student will be testing. Where do we test in Lubbock? We have 2 testing locations this year. They should be familiar with those of us who are returning students. Last year we did all of our testing at the Embassy Suites, which is at the South Loop and Slide on the other side of the loop from the mall. And so that we will be at the Embassy Suites for TELPAS and our June end of course testing. For our big month in April, we will be at the Holiday or at the Hilton Garden Inn in Lubbock, which I believe many of our students who were here before have tested there before, but it is there on 45th Street in Lubbock. When you get to our test site, we ask that you please park and come into the sites with your student. We have a check-in process, so once you come in the door, you will see a check-in table. We will see a QR code that we're going to ask you to scan that will present you with a form where you fill out information about yourself and your student, including workable phone numbers where we can reach you to pick up your child and in case of emergencies. If we're coming into the Embassy Suites, we just use the front door of the hotel. You're going to see a big lobby and you should see our check-in tables either right in front of you or off to the right side. And our testing rooms are the meeting rooms in the hotel. So there are 3 different rooms at the Embassy Suites, and we will direct your student to their correct room to use. If it's at the Hilton Garden Inn, there's a little side entrance that we're going to try to have marked for you to go into, and that way we're not in the way of the lobby and the other hotel people there. But again, you're going to see some tables with some K-12 staff to help you get checked in. Each day for our STAR testing, we usually have 2 test sessions. And we typically call them AM and PM, but one starts at 8 a.m. and one starts at 11 a.m. and we typically start check-in about 30 minutes prior. So we ask you to be there about 30 minutes prior so we can make sure we have everything that we need. And then students will be escorted to their rooms where they will be testing. Again, it is K-12 staff, teachers, and other staff members who are facilitating the testing. And they are there to help them and make it as pleasant as possible. Students are asked to focus on their test for at least 1 hour. So we ask that you please communicate this with your students, that we want them to do their absolute best and show exactly what they know on the tests. It helps them maybe to progress to the next grade. It also helps our teachers to understand what our students need. So it's important for our own data to know. Most students will typically complete their tests within 2 to 3 hours. All students are allotted up to 7 hours to complete their tests. Once a student is done with their test, they will exit the testing room. Our staff will use the information that you provided at check-in to contact you, and students will wait for your arrival to pick them up. We do ask that you come for your students within about 30 minutes of being called, because our waiting areas can get a little crowded. Also, we also ask that you bring a valid ID. I know that some of us in Lubbock have been here for a while, and you know many of our staff members, and that's great, but there's a possibility we may have staff members that aren't familiar with you, and we're trying to keep all of our students safe. So please bring a valid ID when you pick up your student. Families should receive information about their assigned testing date, time, and location via email at least a month prior to their testing. And we ask that you verify that you know your test date, time, and location. We're going to ask you to log into our system called Testing Nirvana. With most of the time, it's with your learning coach email address, whatever you registered your student with, and then you pick Texas schools from the drop down. I should have had a screenshot of that here, but pick Texas schools and your learning coach email, and when you log into Testing Nirvana, and just verify that you understand what day, what time, what location your students need to be there. There is a little bit of wiggle room. Like I said, we are trying to get all of our students at testing. And so if there is, some adjustments that we can make that might make it a little more convenient for you, we will do everything in our power to do that. We have limited space for testing different students. It especially gets a little bit complicated when we have small groups or individual testers. And there's certain tests that just can't be done at the same time. Like, let's say a third grade reading test and an high school algebra test. Those tests cannot be taken at the same time. So that would just not even be a possibility for us. But we can do other things. Let's say if you've got a bunch of students that are taking tests and you're just trying to coordinate your schedule, reach out to us and we can see what we can do to make it a little bit easier for you. Students are allowed to bring drinks and snacks, especially if you know your student might take a little while. We do encourage you to bring some snacks. If your snacks are a little noisy, we might ask students to step out of the room and take a break and have their snack. Any kind of drinks or anything like that, we're not going to have them on the table. They might be next on the floor or in the back of the room. Please don't bring any peanut products. We don't have information about who is allergic to what, so we're going to steer clear of those most dangerous things. Other than snacks, we have everything else that you need. Now, if your student has a special IEP that says they need some very particular graphic organizer or things like that, please bring that. It does need to be in the IEP in order for us to allow them to take it in the room, and we will have that information. We just may not have that specific tool that they need, okay? So please bring it if they need it. no electronics in the room, so no cell phones or smartwatches, no electronic glasses. We're going to ask that we use regular glasses if we need a prescription. Um, there are special provisions for, I know we have a few students who have some health needs that require them to have their device, and we should have that in their paperwork. And so, of course, those are allowed. Students are also encouraged to dress in layers for comfort. Bring something to read, maybe, if they're going to be waiting, because we are asking everybody to stay quiet. Thanks. Okay, we know we have some student drivers in our community. If your student is under 18 and you are allowing them to drive, we do need permission from our legal guardians to allow them to drive to and from our test site, because we are responsible for all of our students while they're in our test site. So we want to make sure that we have permission from parents and that we know our students are going to be safe. I believe I'm presenting this as a video, but we do have plenty of places. This is a link to a digital form, and I will try to have it somewhere in the zone for you to find as well. I believe we also might have a SMORE, which is, pretty much a website with a bunch of information on it. So if you see that SMORE, this form should be there as well. Also, if you want someone different to pick them up besides a legal guardian or besides the person that dropped them off, there's also a form for that as well, to have somebody else pick them up. That is most of the most important stuff. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or any issues, anything that you want to try to see if we can work out, if there's any wiggle room to make any adjustments to schedules or anything like that. We will do our best to help you as much as we can, and we're excited to see you guys at testing this year.